Hey there guys, I'm back to another game review. Today we're diving into Bakeru on the Nintendo Switch. Developed by Goodfeel, the same studio behind Kirby's Epic Yarn, Yoshi's Woolly World, and Princess Peach Showtime. This is the team's first original IP for the console. The action 3D platformer is reminiscent of games from the PS1 and N64 era, where level-to-level progress and gameplay are most important. It's a fun adventure that will last 10 to 13 hours, but as the team's first original game, it suffers from lack of challenge and performance issues on the console. Is Bakeru worth $40? Let's talk about it.
Upon my research, I learned that this game is a spiritual successor to Goemon, or Mystical Ninja to those in the States. I have zero experience with this series since none of the games made it outside of Japan after the N64. I found Bakeru when it was a Nintendo Switch exclusive to Japan. The gameplay and visuals looked right up my alley, which had me excited when it was announced for worldwide release in August 2024. Although it was only available digitally, there's now a retail version for North America. Published by Spike Chunsoft, the game is also available on PC. After playing for about 13 hours, Bakeru is a fun but long experience. The beat 'em up and platforming gameplay is enjoyable, but doesn't add anything new to keep players engaged. The game also suffers from a lack of challenge and balancing in the gameplay. Items are straight up broken, making quick work of boss fights. If anything, the most challenge Bakeru has is battling with the gameplay mechanics. The story takes place in a fantasy version of Japan where monsters and creatures exist. Bakeru rescues Sun, who informs our hero about Oracle Saitoro. The villain has brainwashed Momotaro, the fairy tale hero, as he continues to take over Japan. You now journey on a quest with Bakeru and co. to save Japan from the evil foe. I did not pay attention to the story after a few hours. It's the classic good guy versus bad guy setup with not much substance there. The characters are visually charming with some clever writing here and there. I love the idea of visiting each prefecture as a level and representing Japan's culture in it. Cutscenes are still images backed up by Japanese voice actors grunting or making a sound. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the story, but it's very basic. Bakeru is a 3D platformer with beat-em-up action. There's over 50 levels with boss fights, on-rail shooting, and racing levels mixed in. Mash the L or R bumpers to hit enemies, each one corresponding to Bakeru's arm. It's not just a matter of mashing the shoulder buttons to defeat enemies, but at times, you'll have to charge up your attacks or perform different combos to create an opening. There is a parrying mechanic by pressing the right trigger before the projectile/attack lands. This is probably the most challenging part of Bakeru's gameplay, but not necessary to use at all times. You can also dodge incoming attacks with the Y button. As you progress, you'll unlock new power-ups such as turning tiny to enter small doors, bigger hands to deal extra damage, a fishing rod to take out groups of enemies, and dual pistols to take out enemies from afar. You unlock all 4 of these power-ups about 4 hours in, which makes the rest of the game feel like a drag. The 3 offensive power-ups feel great to use and have their place depending on the situation. However, I wish there was a 4th offensive power-up to make the wheel complete. You only use the shrinking power-up when you need to get across large gaps or enter tiny doors, so the bottom power-up never sees action during normal gameplay. The level design is fine, nothing super out of the ordinary for a 3D platformer. There will be visual similarities from level to level, but each one plays differently. The objective is to reach the end while destroying 3 lanterns in the level. There's more than 3 to find, and the extra ones grant coins upon destruction. Because you have your full kit of abilities and powers very early on, it makes Bakeru feel boring to finish. Like, you have anything and everything you can use with no further upgrades to keep the adventure exciting. I was still enjoying myself about 8 to 9 hours in, but I kept wondering, when will this game end? It felt like Goodfeel had all these ideas for this action 3D platformer and wanted to get everything out there due to the likelihood of a sequel not happening. I felt the same way about the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which lasted about 17 hours for a third-person action-adventure game. In comparison, Uncharted never went over 15 hours, with the average of the 4 mainline games being over 10.5 hours. Anyways, Bakeru overstays its welcome, which is a detriment to the overall experience. Platforming is about what you would expect. The ledge grabbing mechanic has saved me dozens of times since precise platforming isn't the name of the game. Each level has collectibles for you to find, 3 artifacts which harken back to the prefecture you're visiting. Tiny yellow guys appear in each level, giving you a random fact about Japan or life in general. By far my favorite collectible to find since I can learn something new. When you hit a new checkpoint, the marketplace guy might be there to offer items. This is where you spend your coins. Health upgrades can cost between 4,000 to 5,000 coins and add an additional hit point. Collecting coins isn't an issue so long as you're exploring the levels thoroughly and break everything in sight. Items can be basic health restoration or increasing speed/power. One item worth buying is the green gummy, which makes you immune to damage for a small duration. The wooden token prevents you from dying to an enemy hit, allowing you to advance the level without restarting from the last checkpoint. These items are straight up broken because when you have both of them in your inventory, you can't really die. It makes short work of boss fights in any challenge the game presents. One warning I will say is don't buy multiple wooden tokens because you can't sell items in your inventory. The only way to get rid of them is to use them, which means dying on purpose. Also, I wish you could buy multiple items at once instead of clicking on each one. The Bakeru crystal will max out your power-up meter, and a firecracker will eliminate all enemies on screen. A varied amount of items to hopefully bail you out of whatever situation you find yourself in. Bakeru offers sub-levels to break up the platforming sections. There's some racing levels where the better you do, the more artifacts you unlock. This is not Mario Kart whatsoever, but the controls get the job done. The on-rail shooting sections are probably my favorite of the bunch. You have plenty of tools such as bombs and a rechargeable laser to defeat incoming ships. Fun, mindless levels. To unlock the power-ups mentioned earlier, you need to defeat a boss fight. At first, they put up a challenge, but once you unlock a few of them, the boss fights shouldn't be that difficult. Another type of boss fight are these robot boxing matches. They are visually pretty cool, but never put up a good fight. Usually just a matter of mashing punches until their health bar is 0. I'm not entirely impressed by Bakeru's gameplay loop, and the same can be said about the presentation. However, the visuals and the art style are fantastic. A very colorful world that feels very Nintendo-y, but good feels own thing at the same time. The game runs okay on the Switch. When the frame rate is consistent and not slowing down, you can really appreciate the fast-paced action, but when too much is happening on screen, the game starts to chug. This makes parrying incoming attacks a chore because of the input delay. It can be so bad that opening the menu to swap or deactivate your power-ups can take up to 5 seconds to appear. Especially if you're trying to swap powers quickly, this will most certainly kill any momentum you have during gameplay.
At the end of the day, Bakeru is a fine 3D platformer. The Japanese aesthetic is the most unique part about this game, and if that's something you want in a 3D platformer, this is your game. Don't expect any new upgrades or gameplay features past the 4 to 5 hour mark, or give you a great sense of challenge throughout its 60 levels. I'm not sure how the game runs on PC, but it can't be as bad as the Nintendo Switch version, right? If you're still on the fence about Bakeru, it's totally fine to skip out on this one. Goodfeel has plenty of other 3D platformers, especially on the Switch, that provide chill vibes and a more satisfying gameplay experience. And yeah, that is it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want more videos like this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I put new videos up on Saturdays. Follow me on social media at TV Sonic Gaming. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everything. You can also check out my podcast called the Travis and Damien Podcast, to all games, movies, and anime every other week. And yeah, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. Now, see you guys next time with more videos.